Hello, RDs and RDs to be. Welcome to the RD Exam Ready podcast. I'm Zach Caseberg, your tutor, coach, and guide along the path to passing the RD exam. And my biggest passion is to help RDs and RDs to be just like you to help to know more about the CDR exam and possibly pass the CDR exam. If that sounds like you, then hey, you're in the right place. Okay, now hear me out, everyone. The word equipment might be the most reoccurring word that is in the study outline for the RD exam. I'm serious, not even lying. It appears 14 times in three different domains along the CDR outline. So obviously, equipment is an important element. But what do you need to know about it for exam day? That's kind of the big question. Much of the info on equipment that you may encounter in a question will be related to domains 3 and 4. For instance, do you know the correct gauge thickness for a workbench? Can you choose the correct temperature of your dishwashers? Do you know that there are different concepts that you're going to need to know for exam day like this? Hey, you may or may not have known that. So practice by listening to this show. Make yourself flashcards, do matching exercises, or just bring real world knowledge into your studying, and you're surely going to be equipped for exam day. Let's work on this little easy lesson today together. Just as a quick preface, I wanted you to know too, I've got my eyes on a little baby monitor here, so if it feels like I'm looking down a lot or looking at something else, I promise it's nothing else going on, just trying to see a little stirring baby or not. Let's cross our fingers here. Now, equipment has standards, and that standard is known as NSF certification. Keep that in your mind. Go check out some equipment that's in a restaurant, a pop machine, anything like that, and you'll go see this NSF certification here. That's what you need to know as a big thing for exam day. Just look for NSF certification. Also, think about purchasing equipment that is good and durable. What we talk about here is a little bit about the gauge of different equipment. What gauge is it describes the different weight of the material or the thickness of the material. Typically, for equipment that we're using in a kitchen, we're buying metal and stainless steel products, and gauge is telling you about how thick or how strong that metal is. The standard gauge that we use in food service operations is about a 10 to a 14 gauge. That's the most common used in food service operation, just to give you some type of reference of what that would be. The lower the gauge, the stronger and the more thick the metal is, okay? So the lower the gauge, the stronger it's going to be. The higher the gauge, the thinner it's going to be. So if I am using a butcher table where I'm chopping large cuts of beef, bringing down a lot of force, I'm going to need a lower gauge, maybe like a 8 gauge for something like that table. But if it's something like the carts that I'm using just to move through, like little carts that I use to push around the kitchen, like a hand cart, those don't need to be as thick. That could be maybe like a 14 gauge. So this gives you some type of reference as to how gauge thickness works and what you need to know for your exam day. You got this. Now, from the ground up, you need a safe area for your staff to walk, your people to work. Each area for your facility is going to have different needs in flooring. Now, we're going to go over the basics of flooring and we're going to go through just some different things to look for. You want smooth flooring, you want it to be durable, and you want it to be non-absorbent and easy to clean. Absorbent floors, like the carpet that I'm sitting on here, have very high porosity. Okay, porosity, funny word here. Porosity means its ability to absorb liquids. And for someone like me who spills every day, porosity is not good. So if you have a staff member spill something or wash something in the kitchen, like your floors, you don't want to have porous floors. You want them to be non absorbent, or else they're going to mold and they're going to deteriorate. Let's talk through common types of flooring now, being specific to focus on advantages and disadvantages of each type so that you know where the exam's going to take you. Rubber tile is a great use for kitchens and restrooms. What's great about rubber tile is the pros is it's non-slip, meaning you're not going to slip on it, and it's easy to clean. But there are downsides. Rubber tile is not very durable. It's not very good to resistance. If you've ever seen rubber mats before, like that of a bar or an entrance, you'll notice they can get rubbed down and less effective over time. And that's what we can see in rubber and rubber mats. So great because they're durable, and, non-slip, but you just have to make sure that they're well maintained. Vinyl or vinyl sheets is something we usually see in offices, hallways, law buildings, all types of stuff. Vinyl is cheap. It's easy to clean and it's pretty resilient to most shock or things being dropped on it. So if I drop something very heavy on it, it's probably not going to crack. However, with things like grease or chemical spills, vinyl is no good. Vinyl is at a disadvantage when it comes to things like grease or chemical spills. It isn't meant to handle those things. So that's why we'd reserve vinyl to places that are moderate traffic in our dining room, moderate traffic in our restaurant, probably not going to be in food prep areas. We're probably not going to be using this vinyl flooring. Okay. Marble, aka terrazzo, I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but we're going with it, is a hard surface flooring. And I need you to critically think here, RD to be, what are the advantages and disadvantages of marble? Advantage. It looks classy, right? It's got a good appearance and it is non porous as well. That's the great news. It's great for bathrooms, for dining rooms, for bar areas, for other like prep areas. It's great. But in a kitchen, it is not ideal. For disadvantages, marble is heavy, it's very expensive, and it requires special care, someone to kind of take special care of it. And another piece I'd bring up about it as to why it wouldn't be good in kitchens is because it hurts when you fall on it. Think this through. When we have areas like kitchens, people are prone to get into accidents, to slip, to get hurt. And you want to make sure that the flooring that they're using or that they slip on or fall on is going to actually absorb some of that fall. Marble is rock hard. So when you fall and you hit marble, you feel every ounce of that marble when you hit it. So that's why I'd say let's choose something softer, like rubber, if we were going to be in the kitchen instead of marble. We'll exclude that for something else. What about solid wood? Solid wood floors. This is a hard surface. It's so good for things like your dining room, for offices, maybe some countertops if you like that butcher block feel. It's durable much of the time if it's used in a low traffic area. It does pretty well. The pros of wood is that it has a good appearance, but the cons of it is that it does require frequent refinishing, refurnishing, and I come back to this high traffic areas. Okay. For high traffic areas, wood's not a good fit. If you're going to fall, if you're going to slip, if we're going to have lots of people stepping on this, that wood is not going to be maintained well over time, and it's not going to feel well if someone slips on it. Plus, wood is porous and it can be. So it's going to absorb water, grease, or things that you end up spilling on it. So maybe wood is not going to be the best thing for your back of house kitchen. Now, let's talk concrete. Concrete's also a hard surface. Where have you seen concrete in a food service operation? Me? I see it in the dock area, I see it in entrances, outdoor walkways. There's some pros to concrete in the fact that it is cheap, but it does have disadvantages. And I'd say a few. Concrete can break apart if you've ever seen that on the sidewalks, right? Once concrete breaks, it continues to break and it leads to lots of dust and lots of rocks and just lots of kind of physical contaminants we don't need. Again, it's another very hard surface too. If someone's to slip and to fall onto concrete, it's not going to feel good. That's why I would try to keep concrete out of my kitchens if I could there. Now, the last flooring is that we're going to talk about is the most ideal one, and that's known as quarry tile. Look up a picture of quarry tile. These kind of square, rectangular, red tiles that sometimes have a little tread pattern on them. These quarry tiles are all for all areas of your operation. It could be for your kitchens, your dish, your service, your receiving areas. Could be in your dining rooms or in your bathrooms. Quarry tiles can be very versatile. The advantages the advantages of it is that it's very resistant and it's non-porous. But there are disadvantages in the fact that it's non-resilient, it can crack, it can be expensive, and it is also slippery when wet. So that's why a lot of the times you'll see someone use like rubber mats on top of quarry tiles to help prevent any slippage of any kind there. All right, your flooring is taken care of. Whew, that's done. Now let's talk dishwashers a little bit. You didn't think you'd get so interested in dishwashers. There's many different types that fit many different operations in a kitchen, in a food service operation. A single tank dishwasher is for small operations. And a single tank dishwasher is the same size as what you use at home, and it runs through a quick cycle. Normally, you put the food in these little racks, just like a handheld rack, about, I don't know, 2 feet, 3, 4 feet across, right? And then you put that single rack into the dishwasher, press the play button, and after a few minutes, it kicks out your clean dishes. You then have to go and just kind of air dry those dishes out, right? Single tank is a good one. It's good if you need to wash maybe about 50 dishes per hour or more, but you're not going to get much more out of that. You're going to need something higher capacity than a single tank dishwasher. Very small here. A conveyor machine is a type of dishwasher that normally has a moving belt on the bottom, and then there's these several large doors that are moving through. So picture this, we just have this very large rectangular unit. There's a door, a door, a door. And so basically they're all facing each other. And as the dishes move on the conveyor, they're going through each of these doors and each of these different wash cycles throughout this. A conveyor is a good one. You can go through more dishes this way. It could be for 250 up to 1,000 dishes per hour if it's a good medium sized machine. And again, this would be good for medium sized operations. That's what you'd want to use a conveyor dishwasher for there. A flight type is going to be the highest capacity. Flight type is a multi tank conveyor dishwasher. And in a flight type, the one that I've seen, it has these little pegs that stick up like this. And you place the dishes on there, and then they conveyor their way through the dish machine through each one of those doors. And the dishes run through that conveyor through each wash cycle, come out the other end, and then have to be dried usually. Flight types are for large operations, and this is if you'd expect to wash over 1,000, 2,000 dishes per hour using this machine. For dishwashers to be effective at removing debris and properly sanitizing dishes, they are required to meet certain temperature requirements and levels of chemical use. I'm just going to touch on a few of those temps just to keep in mind, keep that repetition going for you. The pre rinse setting, which is removing a lot of the debris off of there, that pre rinse setting for an industrial dishwasher must be at 110 to 140 degrees Fahrenheit to be proper to remove the debris. The wash cycle would need to be 150 to 165 degrees Fahrenheit. And if you're using a high temperature machine to sanitize, meaning the high temperature is what's being used to kill off the bacteria, you're not using any chlorine or bleach or anything, you must have a minimum of 180 degrees in order to sanitize and kill off that bacteria. If you wanted to use some chemicals, you could use lower temperatures, and maybe we'll talk about that in a future show as well. Now, for ovens, there's tons of different cooking ovens, cooking vessels. It may send you into a whirlwind. Let's review every single type of cooking oven you'll ever see in the world. Just kidding. I don't think you need to know every oven type, but there are a few that I've seen in question, specifically the one that's the best, most versatile. The most versatile option is what's known as a tilt skillet. The tilt skillet is awesome. It's like this big stainless steel box, but with no top on it. Tilt skillets allow you to cook things via boiling. You could saute in it. You could use it as a flat top to make pancakes. You could fill it up with oil and deep fry with it. You could grill on it. You can do anything with it. Key point here already to be just know that the tilt skillet is the most versatile option when it comes to cooking equipment. You'd want to know about a convection oven too, just like we have at home. Convection ovens are energy efficient. They can use convection cooking via that hot moving air around your food. But one note is that in an oven, usually you have one temperature in an oven, right? So you're a little bit limited to just that temp. And this may not be the most effective way to cook things quickly if you needed to. It's going to take a while. Deck ovens are these square ovens that have like different drawers, like 3 drawers in an oven. They are great when space is limited. You can get large ones that go all the way to the floor. I think I've seen some that even go on a countertop as well. So they're great if you need better use of your space. Each of those drawers, typically, I believe, you can change the temperature of too. So I could have my potatoes cooking at 425, my chicken at 350, whatever I want to do at a different oven. That's why deck ovens are so cool with using those drawers. A steamed jacketed kettle. Sounds cool. These are large, deep steel pots, is what they are. They're stationary steel pots that can heat themselves. And these are great for cooking deep amounts of food in a kettle, boiling pasta, heating soup, you name it, making rice, you can do it in this thing. It is the most energy efficient method of cooking, and it's used for both conduction from that hot bowl that you're cooking in, as well as radiating heat from that is being produced just to heat the vessel itself. Last of the cooking vessels here, high pressure steamers. High pressure steamers, just picture a standard deck oven, but they usually have several drawers and there's like a wheel on front, like literally a wheel. And that wheel you use to turn and you seal the oven under high pressure. So this is good for small batches of food that you want to cook very quickly under high pressure. Think of the same concept as an Instapot or a pressure cooker. We're trying to cook things very fast, very efficiently. One thing I would say too, getting off topic of our different types of cooking vessels there, is what about we prep food on? I love cutting boards. I really do. Each year, I hope I get a new cutting board on the holidays. Not a ton to say about them, other than I wanted to add that most facilities will use synthetic cutting boards, sometimes separating them by color based on what their use are. Red ones sometimes being for like raw meat, green ones being for like fresh or ready to eat produce. And some authorities also allow wooden cutting boards. But make note here, wooden cutting boards must be non absorbent hardwood that would only include maple or oak. And they also must be free of any seams and cracks. Gosh, I really hope I get a cutting board this year as a gift, but we'll see. Lights, camera, action, or really just the lights is what I want to talk about next. Lights are not too hard for your exam day. Here's the basics that you need. We have a maximum lighting in areas that involve food prep. So, anywhere where food is being prepped, knives are being used, you need the maximum amount of light. We measure this light in terms of foot candles, and you require 50 foot candles for areas that include food prep. So, a butcher's area, cold prep, stovetops, those all require 50 plus foot candles there. For areas like a bathroom, buffets, bars, utensil storage, and a dishwashing area, those would require less lighting. Only 20 foot candles minimum is required. So 50 to 20, big step. For areas that only require 10-foot candles, that would be things like your dry storage, your walk in coolers, your walk in freezers, in the dining room in which your guests are sitting. That's going to be where you require 10-foot candles. 50, 20, 10. All right, RD to be. Now you've gone through the equipment, you've trudged through it. Let's apply it to some practice questions and see what we know, what we remember, and really if we have this down. An inspector obtains temperature logs for a flight type dishwasher. They were pre rinse cycle, 140 degrees, wash cycle, 145 degrees, sanitize, 181 degrees. Which of the following temperatures should be adjusted according to health code? Okay, let's review again. Pre rinse is 140, wash cycle is 145, and then the sanitize is 181. So, what I want you to do is I want you to look at those and say, all right, which ones sound right? Which ones sound wrong? Let's take a look here. So, first off, with the pre rinse cycle, what did we say our pre rinse needed to be? Well, it was about 110 to about 140 degrees. That's what I recall. So to me, the pre rinse cycle in this question seems fine. I'm not worried about that. The wash cycle says 145 degrees. Let's think back. We wanted our wash cycle to be a little higher, I think, about 150 to 165 degrees. So to me, it does look like the wash cycle is looking a bit low right now. So I'm going to hold on to that. And then the sanitize, 181 degrees, we needed a minimum of 180 degrees, so the sanitize looks good. So which of the following temperatures should be adjusted according to health code? For A, pre-rinse cycle, no, that was well within what we needed. B, rinse cycle, okay, that's just kind of a throwaway there. C, the wash cycle, that seems like my best answer because the wash cycle needs to be 150 to 165 degrees. We're looking a little bit light there. Or D, sanitize cycle. We're well within our 180 degrees minimum. So I would say my best answer is C. The wash cycle would need to be adjusted to meet that health code. All right. Number two, a facility would a facility would require a minimum of blank foot candles for dry storage, walk-in coolers, and dining rooms. A facility would require a minimum of blank foot candles for dry storage, walk-in coolers, and dining rooms. A, 10-foot candles, B, 20, C, 50, or D, 100. A, B, C, D, process of elimination. What is our best answer? For dry storage, walk in coolers, and dining rooms, I don't need to have the highest amount of light in those areas because we're not really prepping food there. Thus, I would say if I looked at 10-foot candles, that seems okay to me. My numbers that were in my head was 50, 20, 10. So I'm going to hold on to A really quick and I just want to see. For B, 20-foot candles, that could be it, but we said 20-foot candles was more required for areas like utensil storage. Was like a big area that we talked about, like utensils, that making sure we grab the right utensils would be big there. Dishwashing area to make sure our dishes are nice and clean. Buffets, bars, bathrooms. Yes, these all would all require 20-foot candles, but B would not be a good fit here. C, 50-foot candles. This is much, way too much. This would be for an area that actually involves food prep, which we are not doing. Or D, 100-foot candles, way too much. So for a facility would require a minimum of A, 10-foot candles for dry storage, walk-in coolers, and dining rooms. Number three and last one. The most versatile cooking vessel known for being able to boil, deep fry, grill, and saute foods is the A, deck oven, B, grill, C, tilt skillet, or D, high pressure steamer. The most versatile cooking vessel known for being able to boil, deep fry, grill, and saute. A, B, C, and D. Let's see which one's our best answer. A, the deck oven. The deck oven is great when space is limited. It's very commonly used. Problem with a deck oven is you're not probably going to be able to deep fry anything in a deck oven or saute things. You're mostly going to be roasting things in that oven. Therefore, I think A is out. I don't think deck oven's a good fit. B, a grill. Grills are great, can be used for lots of things, but I don't think it's going to deep fry or saute much. C, tilt skillet. Now, a tilt skillet we know as being the most versatile type of cooking vessel, right? Because it can do all these things. I would say C is a good fit, and I want to hold on to that. D, high pressure steamer. Ooh, high pressure steamers are great for cooking things quickly, small batches. Only thing is, I don't think it's going to do things like deep fry and grill and saute things. I think it's going to mostly steam since that's its goal. I would say my best answer would be answer C. A tilt skillet is the most versatile cooking tool for all these needs. That wraps up today's lesson, students. I hope you watched, listened, learned, and enjoyed today's show. Remember, passing this exam is a journey. We all need assistance along the way. Do me a favor, subscribe to this show wherever you're listening, wherever you're watching. If it's YouTube, if it's Spotify, if it's Apple Podcasts, whatever it is, just check us out. I'm still posting some reels on Instagram, practice questions. So check out RD Exam Ready if you haven't. And again, just share the show. And of course, as always, happy studying to you, RD to be.